I'm walking down the street.
I do want to say to Doni and many of you in this room that over a very long career in this city, all of you have helped me and my colleagues tell the truth and to try to tell.
I may not look like you and you me, but
Put my hat up.
I'm South Carolina, so I just...
What does this event mean to you, Miss Peggy Moss?
Oh, my heart,
Happy 20th anniversary.
my heart is about loving up on my sisters. Do you know what it feels like to have your sisters in the room? Don.
And that'll be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. I am beautiful, I am blessed, but not just what you see in the flesh. I'm free from people, free from myself. There's
The doctor lived next door to the janitor, to the reverend, and the lawyer. We were together. Now we get so high and mighty that you create stress for your society because you don't like poor black folks either. That's a health problem. Get yourself together so I can stop being taking care of geriatric people and get back to pediatrics. I thank you, Doni, for all you've done. Let's keep doing it for all the more.
letting His glory shine through. That'll be you, that'll be me, that'll be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. And I dare you, I dare you, I dare you to be you.
First name's Doni, last name's Glover. In it to win it for the long haul, baby. Today's guest is Baltimore County Council Chair Julian E. Jones Jr. One of the fascinating things that we get to talk with the council chair about today is his experience with the Arundel County Fire Department as it relates to this week's horrific incident, the Key Bridge closure. Unmute your mic there, council chair. There we go. Good morning. How are you?
Fine, Doni, how are you doing? Hey, if you don't mind, I would like to make one brief correction here. I am currently no longer the chair, but to that point, I was coming into this year, I was the only person on the county council to ever have been chairman, and I've been chairman for 4 years, and others had not been chairman at all, and I had first African-American to be chair, and the only person in the history of Baltimore County to be chair 3 times in a row. I thought it was time to give somebody else an opportunity. So that's the way we're rolling with that. Back to the fire department. I loved every minute of it. And, I know we have a lot of specialized pieces of equipment in terms of the dive team that were out there assisting. And, that's the type of operation that's going on there with the recovery efforts and the rescue efforts in the very beginning.
Well, there's another interesting characteristic that you represent. The bridge, as you told me yesterday, touches 3 jurisdictions. You grew up in one, you worked in the other, and you represent the third.
That's a very good point. Absolutely.
So Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Anne Arundel County all touch this bridge.
Pretty much.
Bridge.
Yes. As I understand it. And the dividing line is right down basically the middle of the Patapsco.
What did you think when you saw the 1 a.m. tragedy?
I was taken back by it. In the day's times, when I saw the video, the first thing I had to do was look at it again and make sure it was the Key Bridge. And then I had to look at it and think is this for real? But the person sent me a video and somebody was cussing and they were like, I can't believe this crap. And you know what I mean? Can you believe this? And it really, it sort of slapped me in the face. You know what I mean? It really got my attention really fast. I ran to the TV and turned the television on and there it was, legit. Such a tragedy.
Surreal to say the least. Last night I saw the moments just before the crash, and the news was showing how the workers had just gotten into the trucks, but they had no chance whatsoever. Tell me about the trauma and what happens when a community sees such death right before our very eyes. I mean, we all have to unpack this.
Well, I tell you, first of all, I want to, my heart and prayers go out to the victims and their families. And we certainly wish that God would comfort them at this time of bereavement. I know it's very difficult. And of course, tip my hat to my brothers and sisters in the rescue and the public safety community who went, and things could have been a lot worse had they not stopped traffic on that bridge. And Donnie, when you think about 1,800 vessels going in and out of there a year, this could have just as easily have happened during the day or when there was much more traffic on that bridge. But thank God it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and thank God the police were able to stop additional traffic from going on the bridge. But collectively, it's image that is going to be etched in everybody's mind for a very long time. I dare say most people probably never forget it. I mean, it's right up there among so many other tragedies, if you will, that people will just always have that image seared in their mind of that cargo ship running into that bridge and knocking it over.
I mean, in many ways, it was Baltimore's 9/11.
Yes, I mean, I looked online, and the person who shot the video, the first one that I saw on Instagram, she said, "I'm never going to go across a bridge again." You know what I mean? She just said that, but I mean, there's already a lot of people with phobias already, and this doesn't help. I mean, it's very tragic indeed. And people are talking about what could have been done, and it's a 50-year bridge. Hindsight's always 20/20. And I was listening to an engineer yesterday saying he doesn't know of any system anywhere that could have stopped that cargo tanker. That thing probably weighs, I don't know how many millions of metric tons, and when that weight's moving, I guess don't know what could have stopped it.
So moving forward legislatively, what do you think can or should happen?
Well,
for instance,
I think, and this is just me. Now, this is just me. I think that there is a reasonable thing you could do, and I don't know if they're doing this or not, but this is tied back into the fire department. In the fire department, when the firefighter or someone declares a mayday, or the chief decides he wants to evacuate the building, the first thing they do is hit it over the radio telling everybody to leave. But also what we do is sound all the air horns in the vicinity of the incident and hold them for close to a minute. And that sound, no matter where you are, what you're doing, you're going to hear it. So I was just thinking, I know this kind of thing don't happen every day, but maybe, just maybe, if they had some type of siren or horn or something on the bridge, that in the event that this ever happens again, everybody working on the bridge knows that if you hear this sound, it's a true emergency, get off the bridge right away. Now, the reason I bring that up is coming back from the fire department. Most of our fire codes and most of the things that we've learned over the years, nobody didn't sit down in a room and think these things through. It was some incident where many people lost their lives, and we decided, well, you know what? We need to have every business, especially ones with people, a lot of people in an open outlet. so that if everybody bunches up against the door, they can't pull the door open and everybody dies inside the movie theater. That happened, Donnie. So we've learned that, hey, every door should open outward. And the list goes on and on and on as it relates to our fire codes. Most of these things come from some incident. So maybe we do need some audible alarm on bridges that would notify all the employees that are working there when it's a true emergency, when they have to evacuate. Now, whether that would have made a difference or not, I don't know. But I'm just, sitting here like you, trying to come up with something that could help in the future.
Knowing that one is going to work on a bridge, the thought of wearing a life preserver is probably the last thing a worker wants to think about. Now, would a life preserver have helped at all? My understanding is with a nearly 200-foot drop, anybody falling, especially unexpectedly, it's not like they had any chance to get into any type of position to even have a chance with the water. How's that work?
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think the highest point of the bridge is 180 feet. So, look, these guys are out there patching hose, and I've worked around the Bay Bridge, and many times we've had rescues on the Bay Bridge where workers had became injured, and we had to rescue them from the scaffolding up above or scaffolding underneath, and you name it. And it's a significant operation when you have to do that. But the point is, I don't know whether or not I don't think life jackets would have made a difference. Matter of fact, they talked about rescuing the two guys yesterday that was trapped in the pickup truck. And, I just don't think the life jackets would have made a difference. And who would expect that bridge to come down?
The whole bridge.
It's been there for 50 years, right?
And it's the Trestle Bridge. My understanding, it's the third largest of its kind in these United States.
Okay.
So what does this mean for the economy? Not just for Baltimore County, Baltimore City, and Arundel County, but for the entire country?
Well, I can tell you, it is going to be a significant hit. It's, like anything, it's going to ripple out all around the world. But ground zero is right here, where we had the most activity as a result. You're talking about being the number one. You're talking about being the number one importer of vehicles into this country, being the number one exporter of farm and tractor equipment. You name it, it's just going to be tremendous. When you think about the global economy and how goods are shipped all around the world, Port of Baltimore is a major player. And if you guys think about it for 1 minute, because I was sitting there trying to think some of these things through, it's probably 50 ocean shipping and cruise ships companies that use the Port of Baltimore. So you're talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,800 times a year a ship is coming in and out of the Port of Baltimore. That's probably the neighborhood of 444,000 containers, right? And these ships with like 10,000 containers apiece, it'll take somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 to 3 days unloaded. Now, when these ships are being offloaded, I'm not sure what's happening here. Give me 1 second. Can you still see me, Doni?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When these ships are being unloaded, you're talking about it's so much activity around unloading that ship. In terms of people with jobs, like port employees, like 15,000 employees. All of those employees go out to lunch. the businesses around putting fuel in the trucks. There's a line of trucks that come in and out of there as long as the eye can see. Because when they're unloading these containers, they're shipping them all over the place. Most of the time, they go into another facility, but they're shipping them all over the place to be distributed. So it's a tremendous economic hit to people of this region.
Folks, if you're just joining us, we're talking with Baltimore County Councilman Julian Jones. He is only the second African American to actually work on to work as a councilman. We're talking about, no doubt, the horrific tragedy, the economic impact. According to Fox Business, nearly 4,900 trucks traveled the Key Bridge each day, carrying $28 billion in goods annually. So as we look at this economic impact, where are your thoughts? I mean, no doubt Johnny Olszewski, when does Johnny O leave?
Well, he's running for Congress. So if he's successful, he will have to resign before January the 3rd, which is when the next Congress is sworn in.
Are you going to be the next county executive? Will you be the first Black county executive?
Well, that I cannot say. It would certainly be nice. Right now I'm focused on doing my job. And
yeah. Come on. We want you to be the county. Look.
At the end of the day, Donnie, the county council. Listen, the county council is going to select a successor to serve for the next 2 years.
How do we get you in as county executive?
Well, there's a couple of ways. Number one is the county council could select me. Again, I've been involved in every major decision in Baltimore County for the last 10 years and been chairman 4 times. And, I think my resume stacks up against anybody that would be qualified to do the job.
And you're a poet. Don't forget the poet.
And I'm a Dunbar poet. And so that's the one thing. But then in 2026, there's going to be an election. And then, we'll see where it takes me, one way or the other. So there's a couple opportunities there. What were we saying? I was getting.
We were talking about the economic impact and.
Oh yeah, listen. When you think about a single truck driver for 1 minute. He's carrying hazardous materials, and he's coming up 95. He or she would have to go over that bridge, or go all the way around the Beltway to 95 on the other side. Because they can't take hazardous materials through the tunnel. Anybody knows that, that's a significant detour to go all the way around the Beltway. And if you hit it at the wrong time of the day, you can add an awful lot of time onto your trip. So all of that cost is going to be borne by the people who's paying for the shipping and then ultimately the consumer.
I know this isn't the greatest analogy, but God, if it doesn't make me think of the Gaza Strip and the ships that were going through the Suez Canal that the Houthis started attacking as a part of the whole Hamas and Palestinian and Israeli conflict. And now these ships have to go all the way around the southern tip of Africa to get to their European destinations in many instances. How that adds to the cost of these goods and the time that's added to the delivery of these goods. So you're right in the middle. We're all in the middle of an economic, a possible downturn.
Well, I am very hopeful. I am hopeful. And there's a lot of smart people out there. And I was very impressed with the president. Of course, I've been impressed with the governor and all of the local people that are stepping up. But I was impressed when the president came out there and said, "Hey, look, we're going to pay for the bridge. We're going to move heaven and earth and get this ship lane open.
Objection, county council.
Okay.
This is an election year. This is an election year, and damn it, he's supposed to say that.
Well, I mean, listen, that's true. He didn't have to say they were going to pay for it. He could have just said what a lot of times, they said nice things. My hearts and prayers go out to the people. Praise of this, praise of that, and then never got to that part. He could have, I pay a lot of attention to what people say and what they do, and I know that sometimes they don't have to say things, and I notice when people don't say things.
You want to get reelected, you'll say it.
Well,
you better say it.
That's true.
Whether you mean it or not. It's an election year. Tell me, could a politician, could the governor, could the mayor ask for more media attention?
No.
You couldn't buy this type of attention.
I don't think this is the kind of media attention they want, but clearly they're getting the attention. I mean, absolutely.
And it's got to touch you in a certain way to see African Americans at the helm. I mean, Northwest Baltimore County, where you represent, combined with Baltimore City, 63% Baltimore City population is 63% black. The state of Maryland, 30% black. It's refreshing to see some people who look like you at the helm of the ship, is it?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, this is a global event, and everybody is interested. I mean, I was out there for a press conference, and just to see the level of media attention, I've never seen anything like it before. I mean, you had every media outlet you can imagine is there. Everything from BBC to you name it. Stuff all over this country is there.
So what's next?
As it relates to, listen, I think as it relates to the bridge, the most important pressing issue at this point is to open up that channel, because you have some ships stuck inside. There's a whole bunch of ships out there just at the mouth of the bay, trying to decide what to do, whether to go someplace else or wait it out or what have you. So I think the first order of business is to get some salvage equipment in there. I understand that the Navy is going to be involved, and you have the Corps of Engineers, and so I imagine they're going to get some salvage equipment in there, some cranes sooner or later, to try their best to, number one, open up that channel. Get whatever debris is there, try to drag it, move it, float it, get it out so that you can at least get one lane of traffic through that channel. That opens up things. And then they got to deal with the ship itself, whether or not it's safe. They talk about all the fuel on it. They don't know whether or not it's damaged underneath. Right now it's sitting on the ground because of the weight of the bridge, at least the hull of it. So they got to get some containers off there. But I would imagine all of that is going to be done secondary or maybe at the same time. But the primary mission is to open up the channel. Second part is to figure out what's going on with that ship. And then, the Coast Guard or whoever will design, they'll come up with some recommendations on what has to happen with the channel. And then from there, they'll go and design a new bridge and hopefully get it up as soon as they can. And I don't know how long that'll take.
This may be a forward question, but I'm going to pose it anyway. What does a county executive do in this instance? What's left for a Johnny O to do?
I think what the county executive can do at this point is be extremely supportive of the federal and state agencies that are there. Of course, we had a major role to play in the very beginning when it was a rescue operation. We deployed our resources there. Just like anybody else dialing 911, the fire department shows up, the police shows up, and we do what we can to help people. At this point, I think the major players are going to be the federal agencies as well as the state. But our job, the county executive, would be supportive. And I think by making our own state of emergency, being a partner, and being able to play a supporting role and give them whatever they need, whatever we can help. Because when these agencies show up, sometimes they don't show up with everything they need. And I remember that, Donnie, when, we like to think we had everything we needed. I led Maryland forces when we went to Katrina, down to New Orleans after Katrina. And we loaded up everything we thought we possibly could need. But when you get there, you find out that there's things that you didn't think about. There's other things you can use. And thank God we were able to hire people to help us and utilize some of the, some of the cash that we had to pay people to help us to do things. So that would be our job.
Give me an example. Give me an example. What were you not prepared for in Katrina?
Okay, so I'll give you an example. When we went down there, Operation Lifeline, which is what we were doing. So we were setting up various medical clinics throughout the community. And we basically utilized a old abandoned hospital, which I guess closed down. It's sort of like our headquarters. And we don't have the expertise to make all of those systems run. And we were able to hire the former engineers that worked in that building to come in and get those things up and running. And you got to remember,
this is your building. Nobody knows it like you. Come on and get this thing popping.
There you go. And we're going to pay you to do it. And so you look at all the different places that we set up medical clinics. Some cases we needed more expertise at those places as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you can never be too prepared. There's always going to be something you didn't think of.
Food. We had a lot of people with us. We had to feed them. So we had to contract with people to bring us food.
I'm glad you
like we were taking meals ready to eat. We had some of them, but people much rather
eat some real food.
Eat some real food.
So, this just gets my brain to turning. We're always talking about business.
Yep.
We're talking about black business. Some people use the term minority business enterprise. I'm imagining that a contract rebuilding this bridge or having any part of it, any part thereof, could set a small company up for life, huh?
Absolutely. Listen, I think needless to be, I think it's clear that myself, as well as many others, are going to be looking at everything that happens as it relates to rebuilding this bridge and making sure that minorities are included and have a share of the pie, because it's just going to be a tremendous undertaking. You're probably looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of, my wild guess, and believe me, I'm just guessing. I'm pulling this number out of my pocket. I'm thinking probably a couple of $100 million to rebuild this bridge. But right now, I think it's going to be important that the federal government, as well as the state and others, can provide some relief for some of the people that's going to be impacted. Hours are going to be cut. Businesses are going to have a hard time. Right on the, if COVID wasn't enough, and now all of a sudden you're going to come in there, and if you shut this port down, there's a lot. I'm telling you. You just can't imagine how much traffic comes in and out of that port. And that traffic, those truckers, they buy food, they buy fuel, they buy everything. Let me tell you something, Donnie. When I was a PTA president, we used to sell candy and, raising money. And the one guy who, his wife worked at the port, and she worked where the truckers would come in and I guess they would do their paperwork or whatever and get whatever they were getting. And she had boxes of candy there. That was like, she outsold candy more than anybody ever. I mean, boxes and boxes and boxes of candy just because of the volume.
Where you other people couldn't compete, and she won all of the prizes all of the time.
Absolutely. She didn't even want all the prizes, but she wanted somebody else to have a chance because she felt like they had an unfair advantage. But believe me, they sold a lot of candy because of the volume of truck drivers just walking up, getting paperwork, and giving $1, taking a candy bar.
Now, my understanding is this company where the 6 employees work, that's a Baltimore County company. Did I get that right? Well, I saw where the owner said he had spoken with all of the families, and of course, our heart and prayers go out to the families. I even saw where a local television station had announced the raising of funds. So I'm sure no one can deny those families anything that they need. But the impact is no doubt extraordinary, to say the least.
Oh, absolutely.
So in terms of business, people who have dump trucks, people who can help clear the debris, where should they be going? How do they get involved? Is it too late? Is it too early?
I don't know if it's too early. I mean, we know that, and I don't know where they go. I don't know if you start with the federal government. I don't know if the Army Corps of Engineers have a contract. I don't know. But to your point, that debris has to be removed. And once the debris is removed, at some point, it's going to be chopped up, broken up to a point where somebody can haul it away. And that's when you're going to need various modes of transportation, whether it be dump trucks or whatever, to get that stuff out of it. And I don't know if they put it on barges and take it somewhere. I have no idea.
So it would make sense to the best of the state's ability that we manage that cleanup as much ourselves as possible for the economic impact at home. I mean, you wouldn't want to call a company from Virginia, hey, come get these pieces of the Trussell Bridge, right? You want to do it in-house, and I don't know, would they melt the steel down?
Yeah, I don't know. I would not want. I mean, listen, this is a significant economic impact on the area, and like I said, it has global implications. And I think whatever is the most expedient to get it done is what's going to have to happen. And I don't know. I've heard of cases where they federalize everything, let the federal government run the show, and that way you don't have to deal with so many other issues that pop along, that come up. I have no idea what the overall strategy will be here, but I would imagine that, just looking at it from what I can tell, this is going to be sort of like a federal show.
So people need anybody with an 8A certification should be trying to find a way into that scenario. Since the feds are giving out the contracts, make sure that you're certified with the federal government 8A program.
There you go. You know more about it than I do, but you're absolutely right.
The SBA, Small Business Administration. So what's the sentiment around the council?
I mean, listen, we all are like anything, we're taken back by it. It's a significant hit, and life goes on, and other things still have to happen. We still have to pass a budget. We still have to make sure that we have funds for the schools and police and road, and things still have to happen around here, Donnie.
Okay, so we're not going to keep. I see you got a nasty cough, but yeah. I got to ask you about the. You had mentioned earlier, and it was a great thought. when COVID happened, their monies became instantly available. Do you think monies will become instantly available? And I guess along those same lines, what is a state of emergency? What does that bring to our area, to our state, to our region?
Okay, so state of emergency, you just take, let's take Baltimore County, and I would imagine the state of Maryland is similar. Baltimore County, the county council has to approve any contract above $25,000. That includes purchases and whatever you want to name, we have to approve it. We meet, 2 times, basically to do that, we meet 2 times a month. So there's a process. Whereas during COVID and an event like this, if you have a state of emergency, and let's say the Army Corps of Engineers said, hey, Baltimore County, can you give us this thing? Baltimore County could say, the county executive could say, yes, go out and buy it, go out and pay for it, give it to them today, as opposed to waiting around for the county council to approve it. Now, every penny that's spent eventually has to come before us with an explanation of why we did it. But that's what a state of emergency will give you. And, at the state level, I would imagine it's the same thing, where there's certain processes that will be suspended that you can get out there and get things done quickly to deal with the emergency as opposed to doing the regular order of business, which has tremendous checks and balances, thank God. But, during an emergency, sometimes that's not the most effective or efficient way to go.
Well, it was real important to get you on this show. We've reached out to Johnny Ocheski. We're dealing with Sean Nerone, so I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get him, but we certainly wanted to hear from someone in Baltimore County government because, as you noted to me last night, this bridge touches Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Arundel County. We saw a lot of the mayor, we saw a lot of the governor, but Stuart Pittman, Johnny Ocheski, we saw a lot of Johnny Ocheski, but I wanted to make sure we did as comprehensive a coverage, if you will, of this emergency as possible. So Baltimore County, of course, and you've been a long-time supporter of our efforts here at BeMoreNews.com and now BlackUSA.news.
Donnie, listen, I'm a big fan of yours. I appreciate what you do. I appreciate the contributions you made to our community. I appreciate I appreciate you, brother. There's no question about it. I appreciate what you're doing. And I try to be as supportive as I can because I know you're out doing good work. And you're bringing attention and you're asking the questions a lot of people won't ask. You're out there bringing attention to people that out here making a difference in the community that could use a pat on the back, that could use some recognition because sometimes it gets tough. When you're out there working hard day in and day out, and nobody says great job, nobody recognizes your accomplishments, and sometimes it gets tough.
Also, thank you, sir. Also want to commend you. There's a young man who works in your office, and I don't know if you've been grooming him intentionally to sort of take your place, but I can tell you, sir, that I've seen a lot of black elected officials and they've never passed the damn ball to anybody. What's the young man's name?
His name is Trevor. And he's in law school. So he's coming up on his last year of law school. So we're very proud of him and his accomplishments. And he definitely have his head on straight.
You must have learned that at Dunbar.
Huh?
You must have learned that pass the ball thing at Dunbar.
Oh, absolutely. Now, listen, we want nothing but the very best for our young people. They are truly our future, and we have to do what we can to help each and every one of them find their way. And, with age, a lot of times come wisdom. And so, you got to be there to share that wisdom with young people and help them find their place. Because there's so many people out here giving the wrong information, Donnie. I mean, we're bombarded with the wrong information. So, you got to do what we can to help our young people.
Really haven't talked with you a lot lately. At last check, I know Ryan Coleman was making some noise out there in Baltimore County, and I know there was some talk around the school board. How is the state of education in Baltimore County from your perspective?
I think the state of education in Baltimore County is very good. I mean, listen, we have our challenges like any place else. We have Dr. Miriam Rogers now, our new superintendent of schools. She seems to be a very intentional, dedicated person who knows how to make decisions and make things happen. I worked with her before she became, of course, I continue to work with her, but I worked with her before she became the superintendent when she was like the deputy. And she knows how to get things done, and she has a plan, and she's moving with the plan. She's making things happen. So, listen, we spend somewhere in the neighborhood of 53 cents when every tax dollar we collect, we send to the schools. And for the most part, the way the system is set up, we have very little, if any, control over the schools. Once we give them that money, we just sort of like work with them and do our very best to do everything we can to make sure our kids are getting the best education. But at the end of the day, they have all the power. Once we give them the money, they have the power. We have more control over building a school because that's a little different process. But day-to-day operations, it falls on the superintendent and the school board.
Well, I got to ask you this question, and I don't.
We're thankful that the governor was able to appoint a lot of members of the school board that look like our community. So that was.
Well, I was going to point to that. Dr. Miriam Rogers, as you know, she stepped up to the plate. Now, Baltimore County doesn't have any problem hiring African Americans, but God doggone it, no sooner as an African American gets in that seat, going back to Joe Harrison, who became the first black county first black school superintendent in the Obama era. Hell, they even gave him hell. And as soon as they get in there, it's like these, I don't know, these moms or something from the other side of the world just start attacking. So they hire them, then they attack them. I mean, what's this attack dog tactic of Baltimore County?
Well, first of all, listen, I'm here to tell you, Donnie, I don't care what you do. You want to have haters? I don't care what you do. And Joe Harrison, speaking of Joe Harrison, listen, he probably had the longest tenure of any superintendent in the clown that you're talking about, right? But the point is, in this business, if you give a kid an ice cream cone, there'll be so many people that'll criticize you. You know what I mean? You just can't do anything good and not think that there's another angle that somebody's going to use to come at you. And, you know, that's the way it is. And unfortunately, you know, that's the environment we live in. That's the environment we have to deal with. So you have to deal with it. And,
you know, I say this here in Baltimore City all the time. Black people can get all of the damn therapy in the world, but if white people don't get some therapy too, it makes no damn difference. I'm getting healed up only to get recontaminated. I mean, because we cannot ignore the segregation and the racism and discrimination that just seems to constantly permeate. And that's why we celebrate you, County Councilman Julian Jones, not just because you've been supportive of this network, but because I personally have seen you have to navigate a county, I mean, that's still yet to get a black county executive. We have several black mayors. Hell, many people argue Baltimore County's largesse is in part due to the African-American population paying all of them mortgages in Owens Mills. You know, I got jokes. Hoodlawn, I'm just joking. Vandalstown, I'm just joking. But Owen, my arm and my leg mills, those houses in Owens Mills are up there, bud.
Well, listen, it's no question about it.
You know, all my family lives out there, so
I know. I mean, listen, it's the Baltimore region, and we all are together, whether we like it or not. When you look at what's happening now with the bridge, everybody says that Baltimore Baltimore. People, when you get so far outside of this region, they don't know the difference between Baltimore City and Baltimore County. You know, every day, people going back and forth across the line, whether they work here and live there, or live there and work here, or live here and work there. I mean, it's just constantly going back and forth. And, you know, that's just the way it is in this region.
Only us locals pick up on the nuances.
Right. The people, you know, you get another state away, they don't know the difference between Baltimore City and Baltimore County. And if it's something that's turning them off or turning them on, we both are tied at the hip. We both are going to either rejoice in it, or we're going to suffer because of it. Because the people outside just don't know a difference. They don't know a difference. Me and you, we talked about it again in the show. They don't know that halfway through that river is one jurisdiction and another jurisdiction, and the bridge is coming down into Baltimore County. They don't know those things.
Well, I tell you, I come to Baltimore County at least 2 or 3 times a week because I go to your Wegmans up in Owens Mills. I love the Mediterranean bar. Oh my God, Now I found out that they've limited my Mediterranean bar because people are stealing. They're getting the Mediterranean. Yeah.
Donnie, listen, that is a major problem, right? So look, this is the problem with the stealing. I don't know what the answer is. I have ideas, but we have stores that people will walk in and steal. And the store has told the employees, don't get involved. Don't try to stop anybody. Don't get involved. So people sort of come in carte blanche and they steal stuff. And, you know, sometimes they call the police, sometimes they don't. But then what happens is
they got police on the spot right there at Wegmans. What they call them, asset protection.
Yes. Well, you know, you have to listen, because what happens is if the theft get too high, people will then want to close the stores in our community. And
yes, that's my problem.
To me and say, why did this happen?
Just like that Super Walmart, a lot of people were stealing. They selling them big super plasma TVs out the back door. So the theft, I mean, whether it's Dollar General or Pennsylvania Avenue or Super Walmart out Liberty Road, theft kills a business, kills a community.
Well, it's interesting, Donnie. They closed the Walmart up in Towson, but they didn't close the one in Liberty Road. Liberty Road is very profitable Walmart. And, you know, a lot of people sort of forget that at one time I was really worried about them closing that store because of when we were doing the mall. And there was talk of them trying to move there. And, you know, it took some work to make sure that did not happen, because I guess knew that if you open up a Super Walmart at the mall, there's no way you will have 2 other Super Walmarts within a couple of, you know, less than a couple of miles away. It's just not going to happen. So anyway, we are very fortunate to get Costco at the mall, thank God. And the Walmart is still there, even though the one on Wrightstown Road closed. But, you know, the theft is a major issue. It's a major issue. Now, getting back to the Wegmans, we're very fortunate to have 2 Wegmans. Let me hit you with this one, Donnie. I was told that Wegmans is like one of the top of the line supermarkets. I was told that the average supermarket, somebody will go 5 miles to get to a supermarket, but people will travel up to 20 miles to go to a Wegmans.
Damn Skippy.
That's what I was told. And so we are very fortunate to have 2 Wegmans, one in Hunt Valley and one in Owings Mills. So we're very fortunate. And, you know, not to beat up on our home team, Giant. We got a brand new Giant at the Mill Station, which is beautiful.
The Mill Station? Where's that?
Yeah, where the Costco is. Where it used to be the Owings Mills Mall. That's Mill Station. I call all of that the Triple Crown of downtown Owings Mills, where you have Foundry Row, where the Wegmans is. You have the Metro Center, which is where the brand new beautiful Marriott is, and other businesses. and that's our only transit-oriented development sitting right there on the subway. And that Marriott, by the way, hosted 3 NFL teams that came here, not just the Ravens, but 3 additional teams that when they came to Baltimore to play, they could have stayed anywhere. They chose to stay there. That's a plus. And then, of course, Mill Station, which is the old mall, which now houses Costco, Lowe's, Giant, and some others.
Which is a huge turnaround for Baltimore County, considering that thing had laid dormant for a minute. I'll never forget the murder that happened there way back when it first opened. Somebody was crossing from the subway, taking that little path to the mall. There wasn't a path. They didn't want people to take it, but the reality is people were taking that path. So it's really good to see Baltimore County come together. And the mall, the loss of the mall was a huge piece of depression for the entire Baltimore County. So to see that turn around, I commend all of you guys for not giving up, because it was ugly. It was butt ugly at one point.
Well, Donnie, I'm going to take all the credit for it. It's my district. I'm not going to take all the credit because it certainly wasn't my money. But what I will say is I think I got it right. I took some real strong positions to make sure certain things didn't happen. As I talked to you, we talked about the Walmart and how that would have affected other communities. My big goal there was to make sure that what we bought to that sites was new things, and we weren't going to be like robbing Peter to pay Paul. We wasn't going to allow you to come here and shut that place down or turn that into a blighted shopping center. That was like my biggest goal. And as a government, you can't get involved in everything and every business decision, but sometimes things are so big and so important you just have to get into it. And so I was very fortunate that things turned out okay, because believe it or not, there were a lot of pressure on me saying something is better than nothing. Let's let the Walmart go there. Something's better than nothing. And I was like, no, we need somebody else. Not because I guess how difficult it is to fill some of these other positions, some of these other stores in these local shopping centers.
And people don't know the pressure you receive, I imagine, from developers.
Well, not just that, but other people in government too, who said, hey, what are you doing?
We want some over here.
Something's better than nothing. But I did not look at it as if something was better than nothing. I looked at, we're going to get something. I guess we're going to make sure we get something that's going to be conducive to the community and new, and we're not steal from other locations. Now, certain stores, I can't, you can't do that all the time on everything. You just can't. You can't do it on every store. Because there is a couple of stores that came to Mill Station that came from another local shopping center. And hopefully, a lot of them are being backfilled, and that's sort of like the circle of life with retail. But the idea was to make sure some of those big things didn't take a hit in our community.
Now we have just a couple of minutes. I'm glad your cough subsided. I don't know if you snuck in the halls or something. But
no,
I got to ask you, considering when you first started, you had to fight your butt off. I mean, man, you took haymakers, you took body shots.
I still take them, Donnie. I just carry them a little better. I still take them.
Well, I remember early on the fight, Dolores Kelly, she wasn't necessarily by your side. Ken Oliver, he had his sentiments. But now, years later, when I think of you and I think of Ken Oliver, I am extremely proud of both of you, of what you have contributed. No, it wasn't easy, but big picture. You've got a girl past 4 as your delegate. I mean,
listen, I have tremendous respect and admiration for Senator Kelly. And she made tremendous contributions to our state and our community. And the same for Ken Oliver. He made tremendous contributions to our community. We all have a part to play, and you do your best in the moment of time that you are there. And then somebody else comes along. So you try not to, one thing I learned, and I used to tell people this all the time in the fire department, we would promote a new lieutenant. And I would tell a new lieutenant, I would say, listen, you're going to go to this station. Number one, go slow until you know. Because right now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking you have all the answers. And the people who were before you don't know anything. And you got it all figured out. And I'm here to tell you that's not the case. Because the people behind you are just as smart as you, work just as hard as you. And whether they're successful or not, sometimes it has to do with others and not so much them. But don't come in thinking that you have all the answers. You go slow until you know, and then you have respect for the decisions and the things that have happened before you. And then you move forward and try to move the ball. That's what you do. And that's what I try to do, Donnie. I look at the time I'm here, and I do the best I can for the time I'm here. And I know it's not going to be forever.
Well, there are a lot of people over the years who have talked about wanting that seat, but I've watched you, and I'm so proud of you, of how you started. I'm also proud of your wife and your family for standing by your side and carrying the ball with you. Very proud of you, Councilman, and thank you for updating us on your on the new county chair. Who's the new county chair?
Councilman Patoka.
Okay. So you and him square off soon? When's the big fight? When's the big Mayweather fight?
Donnie, I don't think there's going to be a big fight. But listen,
that means it's going to be a big fight. Let me know. I can't wait. Front row seat.
Well, if I took on Floyd Mayweather, it wouldn't be a big fight.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I guess it wouldn't be a big fight. I'll be knocked out in the first round. So we'll see.
You're dumb ball, Paul. We don't get knocked out in the first round. Okay, any final thoughts? We've got 3 minutes, and please, anything you want to share with our audience, I'll give you the full screen.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. Again, I'm a big fan of everything you do, Donnie, and you're making a difference in our community. And I'm trying to do my part here in Baltimore County, as well as the region, in terms of doing my part to make a difference in the lives of the people that are here. I was just the other day, I was looking at the Ravens playground, and it was a couple of years ago when we broke ground on that. And I knew it was going to be a big deal, but when you go there and see the number of kids that are playing on that playground and the smiles in their faces, it just makes you feel rejuvenated to go out and continue to work hard. So that's what I do each and every day. Sometimes people can appreciate what I'm doing, and sometimes they may never know that I did it. But I work hard every day for the citizens of Baltimore County, and I'm here to help in any way I can. So if there's something I can do for you, don't hesitate to give me a call. And I'm always there for you, Donnie, for sure.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And again, all of our love to you and your family, and to the broader Baltimore County family, including Woodlawn, Randallstown, Owens Mills. Shout out to Mr. Kenny Brown of the Northwest Voice newspaper for helping us stay abreast of what's happening in an area. I mean, your area, that's where so many African Americans who left West Baltimore came to over the past 55 years. Boy, how time has flown.
How time has flown, and Kenny Brown has been there making a difference in our community for sure. No question about it. I'm glad you gave him a shout out. And look, I mean, we're here trying to make things better. So I feel very, very lucky to have this position and to be able to make a difference. So I've been in public service for a long time, 32 years in the fire department. And this is just another way of helping people.
Good deal. Thank you very much for joining us. We've been talking with Baltimore County Councilman Julian Jones, the second African-American in this position, and maybe he will be the first Black county executive of Baltimore County. Have a beautiful day. Up to day, down tomorrow. Do your day and everything will follow. Nothing to it but to do it. I got to do it, regardless of how I feel. I am somebody. I am my brother's keeper. Good morning, world.